M. Night Shyamalan's career has been a pretty wild ride, going from one of the most promising directors in Hollywood to one of the worst, to whatever the luck of the draw feels like at any given moment. I'm usually cautiously optimistic whenever he releases a new one, but I still prepare myself for the possibility that it could be bad because it is a fairly distinct possibility. But his new upcoming film, Trap, is a bit different in that this is the most excited I've been for one of his movies in a long time.
You're kind of dope, right?
Granted, the movie's not out yet, so I could be way off the mark. I mean, look at what director we're talking about here. But for the moment anyway, I'm fairly giddy and not nearly as skeptical as I usually am for this guy. So let's take a look and see why that is. One thing I truly admire about Shyamalan throughout all the good and even most of the bad of his career is the originality and innovation that he injects throughout his movies. It's not incredibly common that we get to see a murder storyline from the killer's perspective, and it seems like they're taking that premise in an equally unexpected direction. The film shows Josh Hartnett as this serial killer in a concert venue surrounded by the police.
I've never felt this before. I feel out of control.
Right off the bat, I love how unique and effective this is as a setting. With a venue like this, where there's thousands of people present, every single one of them is both a potential witness and a potential victim. So pair that with a criminal mastermind, and it could be interesting to see how much havoc he can wreak while also being presented with a legitimate challenge for him to not get caught. One of the great things about that kind of character archetype is seeing just how clever and conniving these villains can be, how they're able to outwit the law at every turn while also showing how they overcome situations that put them at genuine risk.
It's not that simple. With a Joker, it never is.
So to make them the main character and doing that kind of story on this scale is a great way of pushing that archetype to its limit. Not to mention there's the added challenge that he's with his daughter who doesn't know he's a killer, so there's that added sense of dread. From what we see in the trailer, it seems like she's his only link to living a sane life, so not only is he on the run from the law and using whatever underhanded trick he can think of, he's doing it all while trying not to slip up in front of her.
What are you doing? You're acting weird.
The other thing I really like about this movie, from what I've seen anyway, is the sense of energy it seems to have. It seems like Hartnett's character is a killer, not for any practical reason that we've seen, but just out of sadistic pleasure.
I am completely in control.
And the trailer suggests that he knows he's not likely to escape the cops. So his goal, at least in part, seems to be to cause as much chaos as possible before he gets caught. And the idea of a killer sneaking around, hurting as many people as possible purely for the sake of one last thrill ride makes the movie seem like it's going to be a lot of fun in a dark and twisted way.
I'll just do this one last one.
It especially looks like it's going to be a far cry from Shyamalan's usual body of work, which is generally a lot slower and quieter, something that sometimes works in his favor and other times really doesn't.
I watched what side of the fin tracks are more indented. That shows you which direction they're going. I saw how long the drag skids are. That shows you how fast they're going.
And while I like that style when he does it well, the fact that he's trying something so radically different does make me fairly interested. It at least looks like it'll avoid the stilted pretentiousness that a lot of his other movies suffer from. In fact, just in general, the movie looks like it's avoiding a lot of the trappings, ironically enough, of Shyamalan's worst movies. Josh Hartnett looks like he's bringing a real sense of charisma to the role and doing a solid job of switching between a wholesome, everyday guy and an evil schemer. He's charming while also being intimidating.
You're a superstar, baby. That was amazing.
Dad.
And his daughter, played by a young actress named Ariel Donahue, looks like she's doing a good job as well. Let's just hope that this doesn't do for her career what After Earth did for Jaden Smith.
I'm not a coward. You're the coward. I'm not a coward.
I don't think it will, though, since Shyamalan, to his credit, has improved a lot at directing his actors over the last 10 years or so. Well, not so much improved, more just rekindled the talent that he already proved that he had 20 years ago and then just seemingly forgot about for the better part of a decade. But if there's one element that can usually be counted on in Shyamalan's movies, it's the music. Yeah, that's one thing I never hear people talk about with Shyamalan, is that a lot of his movies, even most of the bad ones, have a legitimately excellent musical score, often composed by James Newton Howard. Like, I fucking hate The Last Airbender. Like, even as somewhat of a defender of Shyamalan's career, I will acknowledge that that movie is a absolute embarrassment. But even I will acknowledge that you really should check out the movie's original score because it's unironically really good. But Howard hasn't worked with Shyamalan for quite a while, and for a movie set during a concert, the pressure is on to find a good alternative. Luckily for Shyamalan, though, he seemed to have a solution right in his own family, with his daughter Suleika appearing in the movie and writing a whole 14-song album for the movie.
Never ready for it.
A few of the tracks have been released online already, and they're pretty decent from what I've listened to. They're fairly ominous while also being pretty upbeat when they want to be, which seems like a perfect fit for the story they're going for. And Shyamalan has said that the concert itself is going to play a major role throughout the movie, which I'm happy about. I'm glad that he seems to be making the most out of a unique setting. I directed an entire concert. One of the reasons to come see the movie at the movie theater is because there's literally a real concert that you can see nowhere except in that movie. I don't usually make videos on movies that haven't been released yet, but this is a movie that I'm honestly fairly passionate about. As much as I criticize Shyamalan, I think he can be a terrific filmmaker on a good day, and I want him to succeed. It's obviously not clear yet if this movie is going to live up to expectations, but the fact is, expectations are there. If nothing else, Shyamalan is onto something, and all I can do is hope he delivers.
Enjoy the rest of the concert.
I'm ready to tell you my secret now. I see Patreon exclusives. Early access to videos that haven't even been released yet. Shoutouts at the end of videos. Alternate video thumbnails made during the video making process.
Fun fact, by the way, there's a lot of thumbnails that I made for this video in particular.
All that for just $1.50 a month. And nobody else can see them.
Where do you see these?
At the link in the description below.